Good morning, my friend. Travis Egan here, my mortgage guy. Today is Wednesday, November 6, 2019. Thank you for watching Daily Musings and Lessons Learned. Today's question is, whose hands have made it possible to be where you are right now? And I want you to think, I heard an interesting story, and I hope it illustrates the point better than I can. And the story goes like this. Recently, a young man had just graduated college and was interviewing at his dream job and had gone through the interview process and was just crushing each step of the interview process. In this particular company, the final step was to go through the chief executive officer, the CEO, the president of the company. One-on-one interview. And so when he sat down with the young man, the CEO sat down with the young man, he looked at his academic records and they were stellar. And so he asked him the series of traditional interview questions, to which spot on. I mean, exceptional student. He had prepared and was well ready to go. And then he said to the young man, "May I see your hands?" An odd request, but the young man presented his hands to the CEO, and he set his hands inside the hands of the CEO. And the CEO carefully examined his hands. And he said, "How were you able to do this? How did you get through college? Did you pay for it? How were you able to do this?" And the young man said, "Well, my mother did it." So, "Well, did your father?" "Oh, no, my mom. My father died when I was a young man, died when I was 6 years old. My mother is the one that did that." And the CEO handed his hands back to him, kind of slid his chair back a little bit and said, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home tonight, and when you sit down with your mom, I want you to look at her hands the way I've looked at yours. And then report back here tomorrow morning, and we'll finish this interview." Okay. So the young man went home and did as the CEO asked and looked at his mom's hands, and he said, "Hey, Mom, can I look at your hands?" And she was a little embarrassed, and she handed her hands to her son, and her son looked at his hands, and for the first time he noticed how wrinkled her hands were, how calloused her hands were, how much she had done for him. And it finally dawned on him. His mother had done everything, right? She had worked several jobs. She had took care of the home, cooked, cleaned, paid for his education. The young man never even did his own laundry. He'd bring it home on the weekends, and his mom would do it for him. So when he went back to school, he could focus all of his energies on his studies. And in that moment, the young man had tears in his eyes because he had realized the sacrifices his mother had made for his success. And that night, he was just moved, right? He was completely moved. And so the next morning, he went and sat down with the CEO. And the CEO, when he saw tears in his eyes, thought he had understood the point. And he said, what had happened last night when you sat down with your mom?" And he said, "Well, it finally dawned on me the sacrifices that she had made. I sat and talked with my mom. I did her laundry for her last night. I had cooked dinner, cleaned the mess up, and really just spent time and connected with my mom, just appreciative of all the things that she had done." And in that very moment is when the CEO realized he was the young man that he wanted to have at his company, because he understood that to get where we are, we've had to have people that sacrifice for us to do that. So my encouragement to you today is, let's think about the people who've made those sacrifices for us, whether they're with us or no longer with us. And let's just see if we can't take a moment to acknowledge them. I mean, November is a month, obviously, of Thanksgiving. And I know for me, I wouldn't be here today without several people. My mother particularly, Kathy Houchins, has been an incredible blessing to me and sacrificed quite a bit in my life. My family, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, many of which who have sacrificed a great deal, both financially and spiritually and socially in my journey. And And I'm so thankful because next week I get to spend some time with them as my sister gets married down in my hometown next week. So my musings won't be around next week, and I'll mention that again later in the week as well. But please this week consider who in your life has lifted you to where you are, and maybe take a moment or two to pick up the phone and connect with them. Sit down face to face, buy them a cup of coffee, and just thank them for the many, many blessings they've provided to you. So that's my daily musing today. I hope you'll share this if this feels appropriate. Please do me a favor, if you're watching it live, hashtag live. I know it's late. I should have said that first. And if you're watching at the end, hashtag replay. But thank you all very much. I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Daily Musings and Lessons Learned. Thanks so much. Have a blessed day.